If I only had a brain, perhaps I'll just take yours. I don't think we're in Kansas anymore. Welcome to 5 Points of Articulation, where I review action figures and then articulate 5 points to help you decide if you want to add that figure to your collection. The 5 points I discuss are packaging, presentation, poseability, playability, and price. I'm Jason, and if you enjoy my content, please like, share, subscribe, do all the YouTube rigmarole. Today, we're taking a look at the all-new DC Multiverse Infinite Frontier Scarecrow. Starting off with the packaging, and Scarecrow comes in the tried and true DC Multiverse window box. Name and logo down here. On the side, we can see this is Scarecrow from Infinite Frontier. Legal on the bottom. Barcode for those using apps like BrickSeek. And some really cool artwork on the back of, well, it's Scarecrow. Just not, this Scarecrow. This artwork is really cool and makes me hope we get a figure of this picture, but this picture in no way represents what we're getting. If I'd only ever heard of this figure by seeing it in stores, I might have thought it was a victim of swapping. This artwork is killer, but for packaging, I'm giving Scarecrow half a point. Moving on to presentation, and at the top of his hat, Scarecrow stands at a spooky 7 3/4 inches. In the interest of transparency, I don't really know how I feel about this. The gas mask look has become pretty common with Scarecrow. Personally, I think it makes him look like a mosquito. Thanks to the Arkham games, the Freddy Krueger hands have also become pretty common for Scarecrow. The ponchos are definitely new though, and then there's this hat that makes it look like he's about to battle Jack Burton. The main thing I find jarring is just how green it is. I'm pretty sure that they based it off of this picture from the comic, but that picture was saturated with green light. In this picture we can see he should be a lot more tannish brown. Not only that, but his fear toxin tube should be a brighter neon green. That said, I can't deny the amount of sculpted detail that went into this. Just look at how lifelike and natural that bundle of straw looks. Even the detailing around the edges looks like actual wheat. Color aside, there's also a really nice wash in it. And even though I think it makes him look like a slee slack, the mask is pretty creepy. Very nice job on his cascading black hair, and those ponchos are filled with stitches and textures. Near as I can tell, there are 3 separate layers of them. And what really impresses me is that each layer is textured differently. An absolutely incredible amount of effort went into this. Flipping it around, and this looks really awesome too. I'm not smart enough to know what all this is supposed to be, but it looks really cool. All the hoses are nice and soft so it won't get in the way of movement, and the needles are nice and soft too. Pulling up on the poncho and we can see a nice rope belt. Again, for something that most people will never see, there's a lot of great detail in there, and I really like the twine holding it all together. Like the tatters of Scarecrow's poncho, I'm torn. On the one hand, this is a very unique design and a phenomenally detailed sculpt. On the other hand, the lack of painted detail makes him almost look unfinished, combined with a color scheme that isn't quite accurate to the comics. And for presentation, I'm giving this Scarecrow half a point. Moving on to poseability, and that's a bit of a mixed bag. From the top in Scarecrow's head's in a dumbbell joint, but between the gas mask and his luscious locks, you're not going to really get any up and down. Slight amount of tilt despite all the hair on the sides, but you can get side to side. Moving on down, and Scarecrow has swivel hinge shoulders that raise up 90 degrees. There is a rotator cuff in there, but it doesn't really serve much of a function. He does have a bicep swivel. He also has double jointed elbows, which are not at all impeded by these hoses, as well as McFarlane-style wrist balls. You can tuck the left arm underneath the poncho, but because of how swooshy it is, it does kind of get in the way. Shifting the torso, and Scarecrow has a diaphragm joint and a dumbbell waist. I will say, despite the layers, I'm pretty surprised at the range. Thanks to these slits running down the middle, he has great side to side, and of course he can twist. I expected Scarecrow to be more of a traffic cone, but that's honestly not the case. Even the legs can kick forward a fair bit. They can also do a perfect split. They can also twist at the hip, and of course he has double jointed knees, toe articulation, and the new and improved McFarlane ankle balls that can swivel, hinge, and pivot. Considering the challenge that all these different layers presents, I'm astonished by this figure's range of motion. I went into this section expecting the worst and was pleasantly surprised. For poseability, I'm giving this Scarecrow 1 whole point. Moving on to playability, and Scarecrow comes with a trading card and a figure stand. Pause here if you want to read it. Beyond that, Scarecrow doesn't come with any accessories, but with as much plastic as in the box, they had to cut corners somewhere, and not being terribly familiar with Infinite Frontier Scarecrow, I don't know what else he could have come with. But playability is more than just accessories or the lack thereof. It's also about how well your figure plays with others. For all the Scarecrows in my pumpkin patch, and here we have the one from Batman the Animated Series by Kenner. This was my introduction to the character and remains my favorite interpretation of him. Here we have Scarecrow from Legends of the Dark Knight by Kenner. This figure is living proof that it's always been kinda common to play fast and loose with his design. Here we have the Super Friends version from DC Direct. If you saw my last video, you'd know I found this at a toy show. Here we have the Hush version from DC Direct. This figure is a reissue of one made in 2004 and remains my favorite Scarecrow figure. That said, I also really love this one from DC Direct based on the artwork of Alex Ross. Here we have Arkham Asylum from DC Direct. Near as I can tell, that's where the needle fingers and gas mask got its start. Moving over to McFarlane, and here's the one from Arkham Knight. For a marvelous aside, and here we have Scarecrow from the Spider and Scarecrow box set by Toy Biz. The figure was supposed to be released in 1998, but was then released in 1999, and I've always been impressed by the sculpted and painted detail. For some other Batman villains, and here we have the Arkham Origins Deathstroke, Greg Capullo Catwoman, Secret Files Poison Ivy from DC Direct. Side note, McFarlane just announced a Hush Superman today, which makes me hope that a Hush-style Poison Ivy might be around the corner. Here we have the Greg Capullo Riddler, DC Multiverse Hush, Mattel Arkham City 2-Pack Two-Face, DC Essentials Harley Quinn, and my custom Kip Bash Joker. For some larger-than-life Batman villains, and here we have Clayface, Man-Bat, and Bane. For some members of the Bat family, and here we have a couple of different versions of Damian. Here we have a couple of different versions of Nightwing, Batgirl, Red Hood, Red Robin, and regular old Tim Drake Robin. But what's a Scarecrow without a Dark Knight? Here we have DC Essentials, Detective Comics 1000, Battle Damaged, 3 Jokers, Page Punchers, sorry by the way if the camera moved, and my own custom Hush. For a 7-inch scale Marvel comparison, and here we have the Master of Fear against the Man Without Fear. This is a battle I'd love to see. For a kinda sorta Scarecrow, and here we have Pumpkin Wrapper from Power Rangers. And it goes without saying that we have to bring out the Needle Glove Freddy Krueger from A Nightmare on Elm Street 3. And listen, I'm not saying that this is a rip-off of Freddy. I am, however, saying he has a red and green upper body, black pants, a big floppy hat, razor-sharp claws, and was voiced by Robert Englund in a video game. Copyright infringement! Now that's the real nightmare! For a relative scale comparison, here's Scarecrow with Pizza Spidey and the Spectacular Spider-Man. And as always, here he is with Stealth Iron Man. The nice thing about an off-the-wall design like this is if you don't like him as Batman Scarecrow, you could definitely slip him into lots of other displays. The other thing that's nice about this figure in particular is that unlike most Batman villains, Scarecrow's design isn't quite so iconic that you can't have fun with it and go outside the box. So there's definitely room for something off the wall like this. For playability, I'm giving Infinite Frontier Scarecrow 1 whole point. This leaves us with nothing left to discuss but the price. I got this Scarecrow from Big Bad Toy Store for $19.99. Since it shipped to me, it should probably be coming for you pretty soon. In an instance like this, the lack of accessories doesn't bother me, and I do understand that the added layers added to the production cost, but the lack of paint apps, even so much as a simple wash, really does hurt this figure and make it look a lot cheaper than it actually is. In spite of that, for price, I'm giving Scarecrow 1 whole point for a grand total of 4 out of 5. For more Scarecrow, check out this video on the Arkham Knight version, or check out my very first haul video to see what else I got at a recent toy show. What version of Scarecrow do you hope they make a figure of? Sound off in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back again real soon, but until then, play nice and have fun.